because you are here, you're going to be one of the first to find out what you can see on the big screen at the Dialogues Documentary Festival put on by Milwaukee Film. And this is, gosh, how many years now?
It's the
Third
year
annual.
of Dialogues.
Artistic director of Milwaukee Film, Cara Ogburn, joins me with this preview because I know you are intimately involved in seeing what that schedule breaks out into, and you're part of the team that decides what makes the cut. Or is it just you?
It's a full team of us.
Yeah.
I call myself our lead documentary programmer. I program many of the documentaries for the Milwaukee Film Festival, and then I've seen nearly every film in Dialogues this year. But great team, Abby, Jack, Kirsten, Ty, helping me out, making sure that we're showing Milwaukee the best docs that we possibly can.
How
in
many?
the fall.
How many total films?
So
would
we
there
have
be?
38 films. That's in
Wow.
35 film programs. There's 2 pre-feature shorts, and then there's 4 mid-length films, 2 of which are on their own because they'll be extended by a panel discussion or conversation afterward. 2 of them are paired in a little shorts program, and then we've got 32 feature-length documentaries, really running the gamut of all the things that documentary film can do, right? All the emotions, all the inspiration, joy, sometimes tough issues. I know you all listening here care deeply about like what's happening in our world today, the news. This kind of goes further, deeper than those headlines possibly can, more than Jessica can read you.
Well, but truly putting you in somebody else's shoes. For Sama is a documentary that, how long ago was that? Probably 10 years ago.
A little while ago, yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those documentaries that stayed with me because Sama is a woman who was in Syria. And was she a doctor, or her husband was a doctor? But like there was a lot of it in hospitals, and we even saw a baby giving birth, which I thought maybe that may be too much. It wasn't. It was good,
right.
but it was just. But and then they were walking because they were displaced because the hospital that they worked in got. Like it really stuck with me, and that's something that you can't see on television news, not easily, and not in such a profound and human way to see that perspective.
Yeah. And then, when you do hear news about a place in the world where you've never visited, you remember these people that you got to know for an hour and that you felt like human connection with, through, common things like family, like, relationships, emotions, happiness, these kinds of joys that are unifying around the globe or across time and place. I think it gives you a better perspective on our world, even if you can't, travel all the way around the world. You can go there from the comfort of your cinema seat.
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with everything that the person you're seeing on screen, but if you're open and go, okay, that either reinforced the opinion I had already, or you're open and go, oh, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective before. I didn't have that same experience.
And I think, everyone today is saying, this is so polarizing times, and everyone's just sort of sound bites on the internet, and you quickly judge people for what you believe about them based on what you think that they believe. But, underneath all of that, there's some real human connection possibilities. These are just people at the end of the day. They're children. They're possibly parents. They've got siblings, they've got friends, they got family, just like you do. And so trying to find those common connections is where we can kind of build bridges and create better understanding, I believe. And I believe that film does that.
She is Cara Ogburn, the artistic director of Milwaukee Film. And next, we're going to find out the titles that you can talk about so far in the annual Dialogues Documentary Festival, a series of nearly 40 movies, and the ability to talk about them with the people who created them and with the people you'll see them with at the Oriental the Downer. Stay with us for this preview of the Dialogues Documentary Festival at Milwaukee Film, September 24th?
Through 27th.
I was going to say, because I felt like we should talk about it today because it's exactly 1 month away. September 24th through the 27th. Stay with us for more on What's on Tap. Welcome back to What's on Tap, sponsored by Visit Milwaukee. Handcrafted, homegrown, world class. Discover more at visitmilwaukee.org and get yourself ready to experience true stories on the big screen with the return of the Dialogues Documentary Festival at Milwaukee Film, September 24th through the 27th. And the artistic director of Milwaukee Film, Cara Ogburn, is my guest. And Cara, you have seen every single they pass your muster, you and the team, but it's got to be really intense to choose the documentaries that make the cut, that fit the idea of documentaries that are meant to start conversations and maybe challenge us a bit.
Yeah. And I think, challenge in a good way, right? Give you the opportunity to keep thinking about these films, to want to know more afterward. One of the things that we do, you mentioned it earlier, is give a little space after these films, whether it's for filmmakers to kind of dig in through a Q&A, or for local experts, perhaps on a subject about that a documentary is about, to kind of weigh in on what's happening locally. Maybe the film is set elsewhere, but a lot of these themes, a lot of these topics resonate locally. That's one of the things we look for, is really local relevance and
That's
resonance.
Right, the relevance of it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether that's, a film about veterans issues, or whether that's a film about I'm trying not to give away too many secrets of films we haven't given up.
Let's stick to the list of the ones that you have officially
There's plenty
released.
coming, and next week, you only have to wait like a week to get that full lineup.
To get the full lineup, but
maybe I'll secretly tease, and then people will be like, that's an Easter egg. She was hinting at that.
For you film buffs there. I love it. So let's start with the first film selections announced. Heavy is the Crown. A local documentary.
It's a local documentary, the latest from Sean Kafer and the team over at WTMJ. Tells the story about Vaughn Mays and Vaughn Mays's charismatic and sometimes challenging for others activism in our city. Vaughn will be there. That film, I'm really excited. It's going to be preceded by a short film called Dear Milwaukee that was made by students out of Arts at Large down in Walker's Point.
Yeah.
And it's their documentary, writing to Milwaukee, calling for what the youth really want in terms of like programs and community activism. It really pairs nicely with a lot of what Vaughn is calling upon communities to create for themselves, and calling upon the city to allow communities to make for themselves. And so I'm so excited for those young filmmakers to talk to Sean and Vaughn and the team behind Heavy is the Crown. And maybe, I imagine that sparks will fly and good things will come out of the screening. And for the community to be able to see what Milwaukee is saying to Milwaukee.
And it's a bridge for people who may not be circulating in those circles and maybe know young people that are living in the city. And I think a lot of us want to do well, and we think we know best, but aren't always living that life and hearing what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's been the plight of teenagers and adults for years. So I love that Dialogues Documentary Festival allows people to enter that world and also meet the people that are part of this.
Exactly.
In a I would say a safe space.
It's true. In a shared space, right? You're sharing an experience together.
I like
which
shared.
Often
That's
is
much better.
Which even it might be safe. It's safe. It's as safe as we can possibly make it. But really, having a shared experience with other people gives you some sort of commonality from which to start.
Right.
And that's like really one of the concepts.
So next on your released list so far, the preview, Once Upon a Time in Harlem.
Yeah. So this is a film that premiered at this past Sundance Film Festival. It's only recently become available for us to present. This is William Graves, who's a legendary documentary filmmaker's kind of last project. It's something he started before he passed away. And his son and the rest of his family and some contemporary editors have picked up these archival pieces. And it takes you inside a party at Duke Ellington's house at the end of the Harlem Renaissance. And it's really like these key Black excellence figures from arts and culture in, the 1960s New York, 1970s New York.
1972 gathering.
There we go.
No, I'm here for you. Yeah.
You got the year right there. I don't have the year off the top of my head. So really at the end of the Harlem Renaissance, kind of reflecting, but also getting you just get to be in that room. It's an awfully cool room to be in. And the filmmaking is really innovative in terms of how it presents that archival work, which is in keeping with Graves' style. It's an opportunity to see a really outstanding film that has been kind of unearthed from the archives.
Yeah, and see those creatives together. I love that. Again, stepping into that world and also time traveling to step into that world. That is Once Upon a Time in Harlem. Then Sara Bareilles, good grief.
Yes, this is a film about the making of Sara Bareilles' most recent album, which is going to be being released, and she's on tour during Dialogues. Now, you may think I'm teasing that she's going to be able to be. She was not able to come to Milwaukee, but the film's director is going to be here with the film to talk about the process of getting inside the studio with her and her band. This album takes a different process to the making of the album than typical. And in the film, you also learn a lot about her personal stories that are feeding this album, as well as those of the musicians that she's working with. So it's intimate.
I've been interested in Sara Bareilles as a creator before Waitress, yay, but her first hit was Love Song.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a song. I think this story has been told many times in many ways for many different artists.
Yeah.
But it happened to her. Hey, great album, but there's no love song on it. And I think it flowed right from her. I'm not going to write you a love song. And that's the song that becomes the hit.
And I think whether you're a big Sara Bareilles fan or if you just love music and love getting that kind of behind the music, don't want to
being in the kitchen,
really getting
how
in
do you
the kitchen,
make the musical
really
cake?
getting into like what is that emotional process of kind of building that album, building the story of the album. It's an exceptional film.
Well, and then you caught my eye with the title of the last film that you have previewed.
It's just a jump to the left.
It is called Time Warp.
Indeed. And Time Warp takes us to Little Rock Springs, Wyoming, where a local theater director is going to present a presentation of a shadowcast version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show in a very, very, very small town in Wyoming that prides itself on certain kinds of values. We here in Milwaukee are lucky enough to have this happen every single month at the Oriental Theatre with our friends from Sensual Daydreams. And Sensual Daydreams will be joining after the film to talk about the power of Rocky Horror on their lives. I think this film is about the power of this film, of performance on cult films and cult classic films and artistic celebrations of queer joy around the world through the lens of this very, very specific production. And I'm really looking forward to what Sensual Daydreams' shadowcast that performs every single month with us has to say about what's happening, behind the scenes for them. What's happening? Why do they perform this? What does it mean for them? What does this film have that's made it such a legend for 51 years this year?
Yeah. It's created magic. It's created camaraderie that we talked about before. And we talk about documentaries that I have enjoyed at the Oriental Theatre, one of them being Linus O'Brien's documentary all about Richard O'Brien, his dad, creating this true work of art that continues to bring people together of all ages.
Yeah. And if you saw A Strange Journey, this feels like it really picks up where that left off. Many of the themes carried in the interviews of that film kind of you see taken 8 more steps forward.
Interesting.
In Rock Springs, Wyoming, which is a very, very small place.
It may not necessarily have a big stock of fishnets at the Walgreens to get for that.
I mean, you'll be surprised at who puts them on. You'll be surprised at some of the conversations that this production opens up for the community. You get to go to some riveting city council meetings. It helps make change, right? That film and this production are helping kind of make change, helping to build those bridges. Again, I keep talking about that. I think that's a common theme of a lot of films we're seeing this year. People are looking to kind of stop being so divided from one another and trying to find ways to connect, whether that's through art or common shared experiences.
Unfold your arms and get a bucket of popcorn, sit next to somebody and see some true stories. It is the Dialogues Documentary Festival. You can plan September 24th through 27th. Cara, you've just given us a sampler platter.
Okay.
When does the full smorgasbord get released?
The full lineup is going to come out online next week. And then with tickets going on, so individual tickets go on sale for members on the 8th of September, for everyone else on the 9th. But right now, you can go and you can get yourself a pass. Let me tell you, these passes are like you're losing money if you don't get a pass. For not yet Milwaukee Film members, they're only $75 for 4 days full of films. That's basically the price of 3 films when you get down to it.
Yeah.
For members, you get $10 off. So go to mkefilm.org/DDF, and get your pass now. Why wait? If you wait too long, that price is going to go up. And you won't want to miss those 4 days of films.
Yeah. So, okay, great. Well, looking forward to that. And then one more thing about the Dialogues Documentary Festival. You have a whole friends and family reveal
That's true.
party.
If I have not convinced you, and if the lineup does not convince you, on the 8th, of September. Friends and family, but I messed it up. At Olive Garden, that's who says when you're here, you're family. When you're at Milwaukee Film, you're our friends, you're our family. Come to our Friends and Family preview night. That's on the 8th of September. Doors are at 6:30. Program starts at 7. We're going to show you some trailers. We're going to tell you more about some more of the films. And we'll have, we believe, program books available for you to put in your hands if you need that tactile experience.
Thank you for bringing this festival back to us. And you also, especially when you talk about film lovers, 70 millimeter is something we've heard a lot about, especially with the release of The Odyssey. And when we come back, I want to find out the series of films that Milwaukee Film has decided, all right, we're going to get 70 millimeter of these classics. We're going to talk about that next on What's on Tap. That is the sound of 2001: A Space Odyssey, using that incredible classical music to start that film. In the studio with me is artistic director of Milwaukee Film, Cara Ogburn. And Cara, we're talking about 70 millimeter films with The Odyssey this summer, making a point to not only be filmed in IMAX, but that 70 millimeter became a big part of the entertainment conversation. Explain what 70 millimeter is and why it should be experienced.
So 70 millimeter is a large format of celluloid film, and Milwaukee Film is proud that the Oriental Theatre is one of, maybe is the only theater in the city that is regularly screening things on 35 and 70 millimeter film, both of those celluloid formats. You know, whenever we have the opportunity to open a new film on one of those, we jump at that chance, as we did with The Odyssey. Coming up in December, we have a special insider screening before the full run of Dune Part 3 in 70 millimeter. Tickets are on sale for that now. December 15th is the date for that preview, but we will have it on screen for several weeks still to come. I hear we're one of 12 theaters in the country screening that film on 70 millimeter, not IMAX 70 millimeter. That requires a big screen, things that we don't quite have. But that celluloid film format, our projection team is very well trained. They're able to present these films. And so we figured, hey, why not do a whole series of films, of classic films that were, originally filmed in the variety of 70 millimeter camera formats that there were throughout the years.
So when you say 70 millimeter film, like I truly am picturing like big, thick film frame by frame, and they come in the big metal round.
Yeah, well, they come in these, and we have to build these reels. The team is currently looking at all of the films from 2001, which we, of course, kick off with, down to Lawrence of Arabia, which ends our series. The series kicks off this Friday with 2001, A Space Odyssey. And we have basically a week where that main theater is going to only be 70 millimeter every day of the week. For a week.
And that is truly a projector.
Yep, with a real person lifting very heavy reels up there every time you see that mark in the corner. We've all been taught to look for the mark, and then you can swing your head around and you can watch for Ginny or Spencer or Kevin or Kelsey in the booth. Switching those reels over, we have a changeover projector, which means that the projector itself actually changes from one machine to the other when that reel changes. It requires rhythm,
some coordination,
and strength to be a projectionist. I am not qualified. I can't lift those things, and I probably would screw something up.
So that's the back end of it. When you're sitting in the seat, can you really tell? Is it a crispness? Is it a warmness? What is it?
I think it's a depth of the image. I think you can tell celluloid. Sometimes you physically can tell that it is old, right? These are archival prints that we're showing for this week. So sometimes you'll see something that's like, ooh, that has a small scratch, or ooh, that has some small imperfection. Celluloid film, unlike digital, really carries with it every experience it's had running through a projector. So you're seeing sort of that years of this film being shown to other audiences through some of those imperfections. But I think you also see a depth in the image, a different kind of color story that is told through the celluloid. If you haven't seen a film on 70, you really should get the chance. And I'm going to say, we haven't made a plan, but we expect to do this series for years to come because I wanted Vertigo, and the print of Vertigo's in Europe this month.
Oh, but then again, you have it back. But so the lineup starts on the 28th, 2001: A Space Odyssey. the movie The Master, West Side Story on 70 millimeter. Wow. And modern musical Sinners on August 31st. And like you said, wrapping up September 2nd and September 3rd with Lawrence of Arabia, which I don't think I've ever seen it, but I do feel like that is a film with the expanse of the desert and the magnificence of Lawrence of Arabia.
Yep.
Splurge and go see that on 70 millimeter
Big
at the
film,
Oriental.
big screen, big experience. They believe we have confirmed that there is an intermission built into the print, so you have a built-in bathroom break in the middle of the desert.
mkefilm.org is the place to go to make your plans for the 70 millimeter film series and or the Dialogues Documentary Festival coming up next month. Cara Ogburn, Artistic Director of Milwaukee Film, thank you for joining me this evening.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks for all that you do to keep Milwaukee Film vibrant here and bringing people together at the cinema.
It is our pleasure. We'll see you at the movies.